Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Sweet House. Today's guest is Grammy nominated, wonderful on the inside and outside because she is my sister, and I am just glad to have her here in the Sweet House. But we grew up in the Hockett House in Jackson, Tennessee, or as I say Jackson because I went to school in Jackson, but Valerie always says she's from Humboldt. And so it's an age-old debate of where exactly are we from. So where are you from?
Well, why is it a debate is the question.
Alex, my husband always says, well, y'all's address is Humboldt, but he likes to say I'm from Humboldt. But I feel like I grew up in Jackson because I was born in Jackson General Hospital. And then I did everything in Jackson. Like I went to church in Jackson and I graduated from high school in Jackson. But your life experience is our address is Humboldt and then...
Well, we live on the edge of 3 counties, which I think is really cool. We live at the edge of Crockett County, Gibson County, Madison County. Well, I messed that up. Madison County, Crockett County, Gibson County. I got that right.
Like, wait, you had that right the first time.
So we live at the edge, so it's like a gray area. Mm-hmm. And so we could actually claim any town. We could claim Gadsden, we could claim Humboldt, or we could claim Jackson. But we don't really claim Gadsden because like resources weren't there.
Yeah.
It's like there's a railroad and that's pretty much all.
Yeah.
And I love to hear the sound of that train. When I'm going to sleep at night, I listen and I hear that train and I'm like, whoa. I think about train songs and just longevity and all. But then when, like you said, when I was a very small child, I went to school in Jackson and all my life was based in Jackson. But when Mama and Daddy bought the land and they built the shop, which we lived in for many years before it burned down and we live in the house we live in now, like whenever that happened, our life transitioned to Humboldt. And I started going to school in Humboldt and I graduated from Humboldt High. So I did a lot in Jackson. I was born at Jackson General Hospital like you, but I also felt very connected to Humboldt because that's where I went to school. That's where I graduated. So I claim Humboldt also because I feel like there's something to the word Humboldt. I hear humbleness and humility. And when I drive through the town, like there's these mansions, but then there's also these very humble houses. And there's like a lot of richness, but there's a lot of poverty. And there's a lot of soul and there's a lot of heart. And I think that represents a lot of, just who we are. We come from a lot of different things,
Yeah.
Grand and Granddad had this big old house and all this land, but then we had hard times a lot of times, and we didn't have ways to eat and things of that, like that sometimes, was breaking open penny jars and stuff. Yeah. So like we understand the humbleness, but also the leap to greatness.
Yeah.
And so I claim Humboldt because of that. But I also claim Jackson. I ain't gonna lie. I was born in that hospital.
Yeah. So. And I always say wherever you were born. Like I say, I'm from Jackson, Rain is from Nashville, and Alex is from Memphis. So straight up I-40 is me and Alex and Rain. But for you and I to come from humble beginnings, to give you guys reference, our dad was an entrepreneur and so was our mom. She pretty much worked for his company. So he had a construction company called Hockett Construction, and it was our livelihood. We rode in his big trucks. We would go to his jobs with him all across West Tennessee. So we did see all of these rural towns like Gadsden and Crockett County and just all of the humility and the personality of small town America. And so it's really cool to give note and give love back to where we're from.
I know. I love that. I'm so proud of it. There's so many great things about it and just in general. You know?
And then the home that we go home to now, like she said, is on 3 county lines, but it's our forever home. And so it's really interesting because I don't tell a lot of people that our house burnt down. It comes up whenever I'm talking about taking pictures of rain, because I'm like, I don't have any photos of myself under 8 years old besides the ones that were given to Aunt Dee, Aunt Tressa, Aunt Keitha, all of our family members, because back then everything was printed out and so everything burnt. So what we have are salvaged photos from that time in our life. And I also tell people when I do start to talk about it, we lived in a hotel for a year in Humboldt.
And we had no clothes. We had no food. We had nothing. We lost everything.
Literally, yeah.
Like Mom and Daddy lived like job to job, similar to the way a lot of artists live.
Yeah.
And when they lost the house, you know, the shop that they built, when they had burnt down, whatever money they had was stashed somewhere in a can and got burned down
because
with
they had cash.
They lost everything.
Yeah. Remember Daddy used to keep like cash, random wads of cash in like random places. Like you would open up a drawer and it's a wad of cash in there.
But that's because he had like, when he would make the money, he had folks to pay. So and usually we'd pay them in cash. Mr. Red and Mr. Frank and Miss Geraldine and all them would load up in the van and go hit the job site with them, you know.
Yeah.
And at the end of the week, he would deal them all their money, their cash, and they would go home and have their life. He'd pick them up Monday and it would be another day on the job at Hockey Construction Demolition, you know.
What's so interesting about our story of coming from entrepreneurs is that people are like, the average person would say, well, y'all were doing okay because he had cash to pay other people.
And I would say the same.
And I would say the same.
I appreciate every moment, even if it was poverty.
And it's funny because I tell people all the time when Daddy was working on those law offices downtown Nashville, and he would put us in the big truck. Yeah. And he would put us in the big truck. He had an 18-wheeler, y'all. This is a black man with an 18-wheeler in 1995.
Dozers, backhoes, track hoes. I'm telling you.
He had it.
Steamrollers.
Yeah. He had it. And like we lived it. We worked on, you beat bricks. I did not beat bricks. I played in the dirt. And
I beat bricks. He would demolish these buildings, like this building, with these bricks right here. If it was an old building, he'd get hired to demolish it, and he would salvage everything out of it. He would salvage the bricks, the bathtubs, the toilets, everything, and he'd resell those things. Yeah. But in order to get a brick wall down like this, you got to go brick by brick and get it down.
Manually beat the bricks.
And so what many times the workers and I would do is we would get the bricks down, put them in a wheelbarrow, drive them over to an area, and just take a hatchet and get the brick dust off of each one and clean it. And the look of a used brick is so beautiful. And then we restack them on pallets, and my brothers would get them on forklifts. They knew how to operate it. They would they were kids, and they would operate the forklifts, and they would put the pallets on the back of the trailer of this 18-wheeler trailer, and we would all get into the back of the cab because there's beds in there in 18-wheeler trucks. And so Mama would be on this side, Daddy would be on the passenger mama, Daddy as a driver, and all us 5 kids in the bed after we had worked hard that day.
But we didn't have iPads to entertain us.
No iPads. We drive those bricks down to Memphis and sell them at the brickyard. Yeah. And so he would sell those bricks and he would get that money. And that's how we ate. But if there were no jobs coming in, no churches to be built, no houses to be built, nothing to be demolished, it was a between time. And in the between times was a little bit hard.
Which is Entrepreneurship 101. Everybody who is an entrepreneur, if you're listening to this, just know that this is an age-old tale where you're fed one month and the next month you don't know how you're going to put food on the table. And it's just it's an ode to both of our parents that they were able to do that with 5 kids. But I always tell this funny story. I actually asked my other sister to come on the podcast because she and I have some of the funniest stories, but we were with Mama and Daddy at Nights Inn over by the Titans Stadium, and our bed broke down. And so Kayla and I were laying on this bed. It broke down, and then Mama and Daddy were like, well, y'all are gonna sleep on that one. So Kayla and I were like, oh, okay, so nights in where the beds break in. So we coined nights in for what it was. And it's just funny because we look back on it and he did take us with him to work, essentially. And then we got these funny life experiences to tell about. But then it's also really cool because I got to sit down with the mayor right here, and I told him my daddy built some of those law offices downtown. He was like a part of that whole orchestration, and he's up and down the interstate, up and down I-40 with 5 kids and all this equipment and mama, and then us going all over West Tennessee and rebuilding churches that were burnt due to racial discrimination and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, there's a photo in the local, like, was it the Tennessean?
I think so,
and
yeah.
It was him
rebuilding
a church.
And Bill Clinton had come down.
A racial, like where they burnt the church. And
yeah.
Just because there was some black folks going to church.
Trying to go to church in peace, y'all. Trying to go to church.
What was they doing going to church, though? That's what I thought. Like, let's go to church. I ain't go to church. No, I'm joking.
You know what? We all need to go to church after what we've been through the past 24 hours. But
yes, can we just go to church? Like, bring tree church where we go and we just sit with plants and trees and just live peacefully with each other. It doesn't matter if we agree or disagree. Can we just go sit together?
Can we all just get along? Well, you guys, just so you know, as we mentioned, there were 5 of us. Well, actually 6, because we do have an older brother, little Emerson, and then there's my brother Jason and Valerie and Patrick, and then Kayla, and then myself. I am the baby, because back then everybody was having 5 kids. Nowadays, people are like...
I still think it's rarity.
You think it's a rarity to have 5 kids?
Yeah, like how many of our friends, their parents had 5 kids?
I think they at least had 3.
Well, 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Willa is the only friend of mine whose parents had, 12 to 10 kids.
Oh,
Besides that, every other friend was 1, 2, or 3. Nobody went to 5. And Daddy said to me, I would have had more if I could.
Oh, he totally would have.
That's what he said.
But I feel like Alex would have had more if he could. I think Alex would have had 10 kids.
You ain't done yet. We'll see.
Well, honey, y'all hear Aunt V saying, Aunt V, the childless cat lady.
Child-free.
The childless cat lady is telling me.
Let me tell you, child-free cat woman, okay? Not cat woman, but plant lady. Because I ain't got no cats, but I would probably if I went on tour all the time. But, plants, I give them their little drip feed, and they're good. I can
but
go
you
on
know
the road.
what? I think that's the cool part about having 5 kids, though, is that everyone has a different lifestyle and different things going on. And Aunt V is very much so needed when she is available to entertain everybody's kids, because everybody's got kids except for you.
Exactly. Oh my God, I didn't even think about it. But yeah, you're right. I'm the only one.
So the childless plant lady has to help raise all of her nieces and nephews. So
I enjoy that.
Yeah, I think for those of you guys who've seen Rain looks like Aunt V spit her out. So it's kind of scary. They have the same hair color and everything. So it's really interesting.
Well, when I was a little kid, my hair was blonde, like Baby Dio's.
Baby Dio's and Baby Rain's.
Yeah, they got this blonde hair. And then as I got older, it started to go dark. But I just was when I started to see Rain's hair sandy up, because black folks, when you got light colored hair, you call them sandy. Oh my God, that child's so sandy. That's what they used to say about me. And so when I saw Rain getting sandy, I was like, oh my God, she's got it. She's got the sandy hair.
She does. Funny. She's got the sandy hair. And fun fact, our granddad, who was a black man, had hazel eyes and blonde hair. And it was just always so. Kayla and my cousin Kelly, of all, I think there's 15 grandchildren, are the only ones who ended up with the hazel eyes. And it's just interesting to see how our genetics as black people just are passed down in various ways. And I am the dark child, and somehow Rain ended up with this sandy blonde hair.
Yeah.
So, But it's really interesting to see. It's like Kayla's the only one of all 5 of us who ended up with these hazel eyes. Your eyes are lighter, but hers are like
hers
really
are
like crystal
like blue.
Yeah.
Granddad's eyes were like blue green, and Kayla's are blue green with like brown skin, which I think is so pretty. And then on our father's side is dark skin with dark eyes, so we got a blend of all of it.
Yeah,
it's so cool,
but curvy. So Aunt Rose always tells me, "Oh, girl, you got them hips from us."
Yeah, that's what she says. She's like, "You look just like Grandma."
Yeah,
like okay.
So, and
I don't know where I got my olive oil body.
Oh. But that's also something interesting about us too, is there's 3 girls and all 3 of us are just made different. So body makeup, I mean. So when we talk about body image, I always tell people I was the fat sister. So I'm like, no. Well, I feel like according to the world standards, because I'm curvy, I was considered the fat sister, and you were the tall and skinny one, and Kayla was like the middle-sized one.
I guess, but we all had our fat phase. When they would drop us off at McDonald's and Little Caesars, which we was raised on.
Oh
now,
my gosh.
I won't touch it. But you know what? We was raised on that.
But you know what? We
Taco
survived.
Bell.
Yeah. So we have so much concern nowadays about what we're putting in our kids' mouth. And I've actually had to just kind of even let that go to a certain extent. Because I'm like, well, we're all still living. Okay. We're still living. So
yeah, I think
I'm conscious, but I'm also very aware that we were all raised like that and we're still living. So I'm going to hop into my first real question with you. And that is, with such a big family, how do you think growing up with 5 siblings shaped you today?
Wow.
Because I know even down to your relationship with little Emerson, you and Jason got to hang out with him much more because y'all are closer in age to him. So what was that like? How has it shaped you?
Wow, that's a really good question. I didn't get to hang out with him too much, but I did get to hang out with him, and it was
She
so
always
nice.
says she raised me too, so, just so y'all know.
Well, even Mama will say that I did help raise you. I changed a lot of diapers, and I feel like I've had a time of motherhood in my life. Yeah. I do not lack anything because of all of the experience I had. And Granddad, he said to Mama one day, she's doing too much with this baby. She might not want to have a baby of her own because she's having, she's spending a lot of time with this baby. And I did not feel anything about it. And I still don't. I loved the day you were born. I was like, that's my baby. You were with me on my hip at every moment. And so when you started to have Rain, I was like so excited for you because you get to have the experience of this little thing that she looks just like you did when you were little. Mm-hmm. Like you say she looks like me, but literally when I walked into the hospital and I saw her, she's like, that's what Jasmine looked like when she was a baby. And that's what's so cool when you're an older sibling, that you get to see your younger siblings come to the earth, and you get to welcome them and try to be there for them as much as you can. And so Granddad was like, she's always got a baby on her hip, because if I didn't have Patrick, Kayla, or you, then I was probably doing something, playing, hopefully. But I really had a good time, just being with y'all. Y'all are my baby dolls.
Well, you used to love Cabbage Patch dolls too.
Oh my God. Yeah, I still do. And I probably still have some somewhere. I don't know where, but they're so cool because they come with this little certificate and you get to write in.
Cabbage Patch dolls were the original American Girl doll.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. And they were just cute, and they had little fat faces and just
And the yarn hair. So learning how to style the yarn hair is so cool.
So with you being, I guess, the middle, you and Patrick being the middle of all of us, what was one of the biggest lessons you feel like you learned from sibling life?
Well, being the oldest girl was a lot of things to do. and a lot of examples to set, especially in our household. It's like, you know, whatever that oldest girl, you let her get away with, then the rest of them are going to do that. And there's more freedom and flexibility. Parents kind of might give in that time more freedom and flexibility to the boys than they did to the girls. They were really strict on me. And so it was hard, I could never go to sleepovers really, or
Rain can't go to sleepovers.
Spend time unsupervised, even at like 15, 16, and 17. And that's why when I hit 18, I broke out of there and I was like, I'm gone. I'm like, wow, I'm free. I'm never coming back. But I came back eventually. But it was just this thing where, you know, I feel like they made the example out of the older kids. And then the younger kids saw what you could and could not get away with. And they were like, okay, well, you know, that didn't work so well for the older ones, so I'm going to try a different way. And I think that is kind of the thing about being an older sibling, where it's kind of like parenting has to be hard. I don't know, I'm not one. But definitely with the older ones, you try to do things so that the second one, the ones after, will see, and they'll like make it a little easier on the parents, you know?
You know, I don't know if it gets easier. I think the parents have to really learn the personality types of their children. And they're also changing and growing up with their children. So they're trying to figure out the best way to do it. But there is no best way. So it's really just everybody's like the blind leading the blind.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really an interesting experience. So, I mean, I feel like I know Rain, and I know that I always will, because I'll always put in that effort to know her on the deepest level. But I wonder what it would be like to get to know somebody else. But I also think that I have that perspective. Being the youngest of 5 kids, I want to get to know her and any of the rest of my children on a deeper level.
Yeah.
I want to experience who they really are so I can best serve them. So I don't know. It's been an interesting thing. I told Alex, I was like, I don't think I had anxiety before I became a mom to like it is now. Now I'm just like, it's like it keeps me up. Like, I don't know everything about her. And then I can hear her little footsteps in the morning when she comes running in the room, and she comes straight for me. So yeah, there's just something about it. It's a weird place to be, but
that's so cool.
It is. And speaking of sisterhood, so sisterhood is something that you and Kayla and I share. And Kayla is the middle of us, and then there's me. And so you were 8 years older than me, and Kayla's 2.5, almost 3 years older than me. And so it's always just been an interesting dynamic to explore. And so my question is, how would you describe the bond we share, and how has it influenced your music and also your life's journey?
Wow. Well, musically, it's been so wonderful to have a younger sister and a middle sister, because, you know, say, for example, when social media started, like I wasn't on Instagram. You were on Instagram. You were like such a wizard. And you helped me with all of my socials on Instagram and FB and Twitter and stuff, because navigating that was like not even in my head. Now I'm a little better at it, but that was so cool to have a younger sister who got that musically, because it's such a big part of musicians' life now. Like pretty much when I talk to the label or different areas in music, they're like, well, a lot depends on socials. And it wasn't like that before, like so that 8 years that we have between us is super important for having that connection with the time period as I get older or you get older. And then with Kayla, she's like this beautiful bridge between all of us, you know, because she's the middle. And she's just like the connector in a sense, like, you know, y'all are going there for Thanksgiving, and like, you know, just being the first to really invite people into the home, her and Jason and stuff. So I think that's been a cool thing to see, you know. And as sisters, I think it's just wonderful that, you know, friends, maybe sometimes you talk more to them, but with sisters, you just know they're there, you know, and we talk and we know where we are with each other. And there's no like, you know, catching up on like 5 seconds we caught up and we're right there together, you know, even though we all have a lot going on.
It's an interesting dynamic. I was actually out to eat with my sorority sisters, and we were talking about what we love about the sororities because we were celebrating 15 years. And somebody said, I tell y'all more than I tell my sisters. And so then it got to me. I said, well, I love y'all, but but I definitely tell my sisters more than I tell y'all.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think it's a constant safe space to run to. But it's also a space that if you need space, it's okay to take the space.
Exactly.
And there's not animosity or any sort of ill will towards it. So I wish everybody had sisters. I kind of feel sorry for people who don't have a sister because they never get to experience that bond. But then again, I think we are all girls because of it. Like you attracted Mary and Heidi, and like I have Lauren and Amilka and Nia and like everybody else. I collect people. So, but every time Valerie has a show somewhere else, I bring somebody else to the show. If I'm in New York, I'm bringing people. If I'm in Chicago, I'm bringing people. So I don't know. I just have always been a collector of people too.
I think because you're the baby, you've always had a tribe. And you used to run it with people. You know?
I think so too, but I think that's what sisterhood is to me, though. Like I do genuinely enjoy connecting with other women too. So I don't know. That's what I feel about sisterhood. How do you feel like we've supported your life's journey?
My life's journey. Well, I think about it in the sense of now, Mama and Uncle Gene passed last year, and then there's Uncle Dorsey and Aunt Dee, and she has like the 3 siblings left. And I like fast forward with us, and I'm like, you know, we hopefully will get to be together as we get older. And so like having that support of like from being like I was there when you were born, you know? So knowing someone from the time they're born till the day that they might die or you might die, like that's so cool. There's the mother, the father, but besides that, siblings are the only ones who really, really are in there like that because grandparents like leave sometimes earlier. So I think it's important to have that bond over all of the years because of that. And that's really the thing that I think about, like we're building something for long term, you know, that as we get older, Kayla is where she is, you're where you are, I'm where I am, Jason's where he is, Patrick is where he is. But as we get older, maybe we like start to return to connecting with each other. And I even go deeper into that thought and think about like what brought us together and what brings families together from a spiritual perspective. Like, did we have a relationship before we came into these bodies that made us decide to choose each other in this lifetime and want to experience this together in this present moment? Like, because depending on what realm you met a spirit in before you got here, you could have like had a connection with the spirit and been like, okay, I would like to meet that spirit again. They were so cool. It's kind of like you go to Mexico or you go to India or Africa and you're like, oh man, that was such a cool person I met. I would love to see him again. But then time happens. And so when will you see him again? Is it that lifetime? Is it the next lifetime? And if you see him again in that next lifetime, what drew you to that person? And so I always think about what do we have karmically with each other beyond just these bodies in this this particular lifetime? And are we creating a situation where we will want to be around each other again in a future lifetime? Because like the time that we spend together here right now, a lot of families deal with a contentious relationship and issues. And so like you might be working through some of your things that you need to work through. And then you might not see that spirit again. Like I hope that I get to see Daddy again or Mary or any of my family friends or people that I've lost. But this time that we get to be together here now is so magical and so important. And I just don't know if you get that again.
Yeah.
And so I think, I'm so glad that I called this into my sphere.
I think I collect people so that they do get to experience that. Like I have people the year Hannah spent Thanksgiving with our family, and like just, Nia and Amilka coming to Aunt Tressa's house. Like I invite people to experience the joy of our chosen family, not chosen family, but our family our existing family. Like it's kind of really a cool experience. Like we were very blessed when it comes to family. And every family's got stuff going on, and ours does too, but we are very blessed to have this family where we have been exposed to all sorts of scenarios, different kinds of people, but we're still like palatable and joyful people. And so I think that's why I collect people and bring people into our family. And she was speaking of our dad, which you guys, if you have been listening to this podcast for a while, know that I have talked about his transition, and it's 7 years now. And so and it was around this time, so it was maybe like a week or two before Thanksgiving, and I always talk about it and talk about what a joyful time it was when we were all standing around his hospital bed. And it was not a sad moment. It was a joyful, like meritorious moment. Even the priest was crying. And we're not even Catholic, but the hospital had a priest, and he came.
And we had the ones from the church too, but like it was
we had our preachers from the church.
Supermoon in 60 years, and he was in his 60s. It was the largest supermoon. And I left the hospital, and that moon just gave me this bath. It was just like this golden light showering down. And you just know, like, okay, that spirit is ready to transition. Yeah.
But we also come from a singing family, so all of us can sing. So my brothers have sang backup for her, and then also my dad, and he was a music promoter on top of having a construction company too. And so when he did pass, and this is also for anybody who's in this season who is experiencing grief, like we could have handled grief in an entirely different way when we all got the call to go home and see Daddy off to God. And so when we were standing around, I think we all went back to when we were children and in the shop singing a cappella and just finding the joy in our hardest moments. And so when we were standing there singing, Mary was there, Valerie's best friend, and Alex and Matt and everybody's spouses were there, and even the nurses were crying. Like everybody was just in that moment. It looked like a scene from a movie, and I'm not going to cry, but it's the same time. It's November 2024. This was November 2016. And I just think about that moment, and I would not want to do it without all of my siblings standing there with me too. And Rain was not thought of, but when I think about her, I hope she is supported in that same way. From if she gets more siblings or cousins or whoever, I hope she's supported in that same way. And I hope that all of you watching this go find your cousins, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, and you really embrace them, and just know that you don't have to grieve in this season alone. And I don't know why grief is so heavy in this season.
Fall. It's so beautiful. On the drive here, I was just like, oh my God, this is gorgeous.
But we lost Granddad in this season when I was 12. And I think we were at like Disney World, weren't we? And like They had to, or they called us and told us to come on back. I think that's where we were. I can't remember, but it's like we've lost quite a few family members in this time, and it's always wild. November is just not Chuck. Why am I killing off Chuck?
Please don't do that. Our cousin Barry. The thing of, spirits leaving in the fall is a beautiful time, you could be sitting around sick for 3 years like Daddy and making your connections with those in the ether of when it's time for you to go. And then be like, well, what's going to be the gentlest on the ones I'm leaving, the ones that are here? Maybe what season, And
I think
fall's a good season to be like, okay, I'm going to make that transition, because you give people that whole winter to just feel the grief, and then you give them the spring to slowly understand the cycle of life again and be like okay with it.
But you know what's crazy is I was in the hospital for 3 days, and rain came at 2:02 in the morning on 11/21/21, which we buried Daddy 11/21/16. And I always tell people who are sitting here too that was our story. And it's so crazy because she wasn't due until December. And then she sits there and waits, and she definitely met him on the way here.
I think she was in the room when he left. I think that the spirits that were like his mother, his father, all the spirits, the ancestors, they were in the room. It wasn't just us. I felt it, and I was holding his hand when he left, and I felt his spirit leave his body. I don't know what it's like to bring a spirit into the world, but I know what it's like to feel one leaving. I felt like and he was gone, we were holding hands, and it was like that. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And in that time I was like, oh my God, I feel like I was just a death doula. I honestly feel like
we all were.
Yeah,
I think what's really wild is I have experienced death, and then I've also experienced giving birth.
I know.
So I tell everybody, I don't know what kind of God y'all are serving, but the God is real, and so there's no other way that I can explain it. It's just it's a miracle. It's miraculous. But I do remember being at Daddy's grave the day we buried him, and I just broke down seeing him lowered into the ground. And Aunt Keitha was standing there. Aunt Keitha's my dad's little sister. And she said, oh, honey, it's going to be okay. I lost Mama when I was your age. And I'm just like, what are all these correlations with numbers? And I look back on it because I'm like, Aunt Keitha was my age, losing her mom. And I am this age, losing Daddy. And I remember saying to Aunt Keitha, it's not fair. I'm too young. He didn't get to see me live out all these things that I was going to do. But then rain ended up coming on that day.
That's so cool.
It changed the whole reason for the season. So it's just wild to experience it all. But anyways, we did not come here for that.
You gotta start keeping Kleenex on the sweetheart.
I know. Well, sometimes we cry here. We cry and we laugh. But hopefully my mascara is not going to hell. So
it's not.
But anyway, speaking of Mama and Daddy, what lessons from them do you carry with you? If you could name 2 lessons, what would you say they are? And how do those roots keep you grounded?
Wow. Well, Mama can literally do anything. She's a genius. And I think she's an artist. She's a builder. She's a businesswoman. She can do anything. And I think when you have a mind that big, it's whoa. Hard to really contain all of that genius in one.
Yeah.
And then she has been a mother and raised 5 kids. I can't even imagine.
I cannot.
I'm just how have you done this? So what I get from her is that anything is possible. If you want to do something, you can do it. And you can learn anything. Just study and learn what you want to learn. She was the one who went to college. She was the one who had the education, and she was also a manager at a corporate and different things at times before she decided to go and be a full-time mom. And she was a homemaker and is a homemaker. And I just finished the Martha Stewart documentary because Kayla, our other sister, recommended it. And the idea of being a homemaker and a home keeper and a housekeeper even, like, it's huge. It's like, I was a housekeeper for many years. Like, to keep someone's house or to keep your own house is sacred ground.
Yeah.
And so from Mama, I learned that I can't do anything. That I can dream anything, I can study anything, and I can be whatever I want to be. From Daddy, I learned how to apply it and
go to
get
work.
it done, you know, because he had the visions, he had the dreams, and he knew how to implement them and, like, actually bring in and make, you know, jobs for people in the community and get, you know, the resources he needed in order to keep his business going.
One thing that I learned from Mama is resilience. And the other thing that I learned from Daddy is fearlessness. I think Daddy was not afraid to fail. And then Mama was ready to withstand whatever consequences. And so it was like, she was the foundation and the resilience for whatever. She was down the ride to the very end, as they say. So I think it's those are interesting qualities to have even in what we do as entrepreneurs, and like you as a musician. Is like, you got to be resilient, and you have to be able to just also be fearless, be able to get on the stage and make it happen, whether it's one person in the audience or whether you got a million people out there. And so it's interesting when I look at the five of us and what we're doing in this world. That's what we came from. So we don't know any difference. Rain got on stage at the Halloween trick or treat, and you'd have thought she knew Daddy. She got on stage and danced like nobody's business, and she's 2. I didn't tell her to do that. So it's in us, not on us. And it's just really cool to see. So that was a really interesting question for sure. So I had to add that in here. Let's talk about your music career. You've been called a genre blending artist. How did you find your voice, and what led you to explore so many different musical styles?
Wow, I'm still finding my voice. I come into it every day. Voices, if you listen to some of your favorite singers, maybe an old, like they've aged or whatever, voices age. Like even like a kid, when I sang when I was a kid, because that's when I first started singing, I was little in the play box, and I would be singing and writing songs about flowers and trees and frogs and rainbows and playing. Just do da da da. You know, my voice when I was little is not my voice now. And my voice now is not going to be my voice when I get Willie Nelson and Mavis and Carla's ages. And so every day that you wake up, you're coming into your voice and you're learning, well, where is it today? Where is it today? Where is it today? It's the same with like a yoga practice or many practices that we have. It's like, meet your body on the mat. What does my body want today? It doesn't want downward dog like I normally do it today. It don't want plank like I normally do it today. So like, figuring out where it is and meeting it. And my whole career is like that. It's like, okay, well, where is it today? Meet it where it is and let it meet you. And one of my favorite books about the journey has been The Alchemist. I read it so many times, and just seeing in that book where they say, when you move toward your dream moves towards you. And so I love that. I love that idea, and I know that to be true because I decided to choose the life of a dreamer and to see if it was true. People would say to me, leap and the net will appear. In all my books, I like to read about positive thinking and dreaming and manifestation and stuff. And I'd be like, really?
Yeah.
Leap and the net will appear. Like, I got bills to pay. What the fuck you talking about? And so finally, I just was like, you know what? My body broke down. I couldn't hustle and work like I could normally work.
Can you talk, just to give you guys some background, when you say your body broke down, what happened?
I became a diabetic, and I was bedridden for like basically years of my life in a lot of ways. I'm just starting to feel my energy back in the last maybe 6-7 years. And so I was so sick. I couldn't really like get up and go. And so you couldn't work like I was working. I couldn't do the things that I normally would do. So I had to learn how to work in another way and provide for myself in another way. And so at that point, I had to leap. And I can say that if you leap, the net does appear. But it's a nice thing to plan as much as you can the transition for any entrepreneurs or artists. Like, you know, I'm not saying quit your job. You know, what I'm saying is do what Daddy did. Have your hustle and have your heart and intertwine the two and be able to let go of the hustle once the heart is able to beat on its own fully and like let that be the cycle, you know?
Yeah. But what do you do when you feel like you are just giving it your all and it's still not happening for you? Because there are people who give it their all and they feel like they have leapt and there's no net down there to catch them still.
Yeah, that's true. So Mary died trying, Daddy died trying.
Yeah, they did.
You know, and sometimes I feel like punished for trying. That was going to be my next record name title. Punished for trying. Waking up every day, hustling, trying, and punished, you know. Yeah. And I love Rest is Resistance by Trisha Hershey because she talks about how, like, why we out here doing, like, this much? Like, why? Should it really be this hard?
Yeah.
Like, can we, like, make it gentler on humans to exist in these bodies that they're birthed into?
Yeah.
All we need is food, water, clothes, you know, like, but it's complicated, right? Same in the, you know, you were talking about God earlier. Complicated. All these things get complicated. And so I just look at it and I'm just like, okay, well, what is the goal? What is the vision? And why do you have the dream? Is the dream like, what does it do for your soul? Do you just want to align a bank account? What do you want? Like, what is it? Like, really getting clear about those intentions because, like, that then allows you to set the long-term vision for if you were to live to be 80, 90, and 100 and what the dream looks like then. Because if you get the, you know, fast forward to there and the dream just kind of like isn't even there anymore because maybe you decided to do something else, then what does that mean? You know, like when you shift the goals to the future and you say to yourself, well, 80, 90, 100, if I'm able, then I still want to be playing my guitar. I still want to be playing my banjo. And I do not care whether my bank account is full or is not full. Whether I got followers or I don't have followers. I do this because I fucking love it. You know? Like, if that's your goal, then get up there and keep doing it. But if it's not, like, if that's not your goal, then what is the goal? Meet that goal and then find the next one that satisfies you. But don't keep doing the one that, like, you know, if it's not like, if you can't see it that far down the line and you're not willing to wait that long, then just like maybe shift the energy. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. But I know that whatever your chosen path is or what your life vision is, you begin to start to see it and things start to flow and, you know, the hard times, they're there. And you don't care because that's your dream.
Yeah. I definitely think that your actions start to compound. I remember when I first started working for you and I would tell people I'm her social media manager and they would say, oh, get a real job. What's that? Even people in our family. And I'm like, this is a real job. And then to be able to turn it into a business, which is what I've done, has just been eye-opening for a lot of them, family members and just people in the world, because I did something that was unprecedented and kept working and chipping at the goal. I still don't feel like 100% to the goal, because now my goal had a bunch of different implications and distractions that you and I talk about all the time, with social media becoming a place where people are after followers and money versus a place where people can share authenticity and truth and craftsmanship. And so for me, I think I feel the crossroads. Do you ever feel a crossroads in music, in poetry, in the things that you're doing?
I looked into my father, who I saw fail many times. And what looked to be failure wasn't. Even in his last days, we sat on the porch many days. I would go home as much as possible, and we'd be on the porch, and we would look at the sunset. And like, I would see that sunset and sit with him in silence. And we had that time. And one day he said to me in the silence, he said, I feel like I haven't left anything for y'all. I haven't been able to do anything, that my whole life I haven't gotten anywhere. All my friends are dead. Everyone I know, except for your mom and y'all and my siblings, everyone I know they've passed, you know. And, you know, he's just like, I just don't know what I'm doing. And I said, are you kidding me? We're sitting here looking at this gorgeous sunset on this beautiful porch with the pond right there and a great blue heron over there. And you are leaving so much to all of us, not just the material things. I was like, if you ever say that to me again, you will have lost your mind. You know, I said.
But he was in it. And I think a lot of people are in it, and they're engulfed in trying to attain their goals and aspirations. And it's very hard to get out of that heaviness of it and to exist in the euphoria of looking at the sunset.
Right.
So what are some mechanisms that you use to see the sunset?
Every day, to me, Earth is a school. And every day you go to class and you have lessons. This is a lesson. Everything you experience is a lesson. And I'm having this lesson, and because, like, you know, maybe I'll get an A, maybe I'll get an F, maybe. But like, every day, this is a class. It's a practice. There is no, like, you know, even with Mary, she had the coffee shop, you know, Java Cabana. She wanted it to be as successful as a Starbucks was, but she also had her successes. You know, I would hear like the things and the struggles of the journey of a dreamer from her, from Daddy, from you, from me. I say mine to you, you say yours to me. We do have struggles, but ultimately, like, our goal is not, my goal is not be the best musician in the world and be a super rock star. Your goal is not be the best influencer in the world and be the super influencer rock star. Daddy's goal was not like to be the best music promoter and construction person. Hers is not to be Starbucks. The goal is the heart and the soul and the spirit,
that
and where
what
are you, what can you take with you, because I think you can take those spirit lessons with you. And so that's why we have these lessons and these practices in this body. But so you think beyond, you know, that's the only way you can get through the hard times, because like, when you think only here, there's certain things that are limiting, systems that are set in place, and they're limiting.
Yeah. Okay, so in Workin Woman Blues, which is one of my favorite songs, because the beginning is just so catchy, you guys, you got to go listen to it. It's, I ain't fit to be no mother, I ain't fit to be no wife, I've been working all my life, man. Those of you in Memphis know the lingo. But anyways, Workin Woman Blues is an anthem that I think that any woman can really embody, because we feel it. I mean, we are post-election recording this episode, and I think some of us woke up looking like Annalise Keating when she lost the case. on How to Get Away with Murder this morning. It's heavy. And so Workin Woman Blues is one of those songs that you turn on to keep going, in my opinion. So what inspired Workin Woman Blues for you? Because it's like, it's an anthem of heaviness, but it's also an anthem of like, I need to dance. Like, I have to dance off this aura that's not serving me.
It's such a, well, I think that Workin Woman Blues was just in my body. Mm-hmm. Can I just say that first? Because like, I've had people say...
But hold on, Black women did our Black job before you go there. And also, I think we're all born with Workin Woman Blues. I think that Rain knows her job.
So the thing is, like, I've had so many women come up to me at shows, sometimes in tears, and be like, I listen to Workin Woman Blues on the way to work every day.
Well, the modern woman...
I'm going to work version of like song to listen to.
Yeah.
And the thing, like the music video, even like I could not have orchestrated this. It just happened. I was in Hungary, and then we went to Austria. It was all white dudes that were in the band, and me and Shabak, the producer of the video, was like, let's make a music video. You sleep here. And then, like, he was having all the guys sleep while I slowly went around and cleaned and worked and woke them up. And, like, the thing was, that is what Black women have been doing.
Yeah.
But not just Black women, but women.
Yeah. We're the alarm.
That was the thing. So like, just the fact that like this video came together that wasn't planned, nothing was planned, and it was created in 30 minutes. Like, I made music videos. They took me all day / 2 months,
Yeah, I was in one while I was like 12 weeks pregnant and throwing up everywhere. I was in one of her videos.
Yeah. And so like, it was beyond me. But personally, when I think about what Workin Woman Blues means to me, like, I started working as a child in daddy's businesses, and my fingers are crooked from the cleaning of the bricks and things that I would do. I'm just like, I've been working for a long time, and I sat down with a man once, and he wanted to be my manager, and he said to me, Workin Woman Blues, what do you know about Workin Woman Blues? You're only in your 20s. Because I was maybe 28 then. And I said to myself, what the fuck do I have to know about Workin Woman Blues? I have ancestors.
I got Workin Woman Blues.
I got people.
Yeah.
So, a blues is a tradition. It's carried down.
Yeah.
Like, I hear songs. They come to me. Maybe it's a voice from one of the fields. I don't know, but I heard it, and I wrote it, and I sang it.
And when you say fields, you are talking about our ancestors
working in the fields,
in cotton fields.
Yeah.
Slaves.
And I feel it. And now, like, the house is on. There's land all around it, fields, and I actually can see ancestors dancing in those fields. I see it because it's like, it's not heavy. They are ready for beauty. They're ready for joy. And
it's a joy, and joy is an act of resistance.
Yeah.
So, the Workin Woman Blues, y'all, is definitely an anthem.
It is.
One of her other songs, Somebody to Love, is actually the song that Alex and I did our first dance to, and then she also named her children's book Somebody to Love. And so I wonder what that significance of that song is to you.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, the beginning is when you're tired and you're lonely. I can't remember all the lyrics because I have mom brain.
You wake up at night and you're feeling so lonely.
Yeah. And you're looking for somebody to love. It's really such a beautifully written song, but it just feels good because we all really need somebody to love.
We do. Yeah. And that song says, well, I'll be your somebody. And so I think to myself, like, the baby banjolele gave me that song. And it was an instrument that I thought was just a toy. I thought it was just a piece of junk, and I was grateful to get it, but I didn't think it was a real instrument. But it actually is. It's a real instrument. It has a whole life of its own. And I liken that to people that, like, everyone's looking for something to love them. And so how do we want to be loved? How do we want to show up and be loving to others, especially in this time period with the climate and the election and everything? Like, how can we be loving to each other?
Yeah.
Are we ready to see a world where we can disagree and live together peacefully? Because I am, like,
you know what
I'll be your somebody to love.
I love the vulnerability of saying, if you're tired and you're lonely, like, let me be your somebody. Like, you can fall back on me, because people don't say that to each other. People don't say, let me be your somebody to love. And so there's lots of vulnerability of somebody saying that to somebody, but then also somebody willing to open up and receive that kind of love too. So I love that you transitioned it into a children's book, so where children can also experience that sort of vulnerability. Like, I love now that Rain can talk, and she comes in and out of her room at night, and she says, I want to hug mommy. I want to kiss mommy. And then she'll go back in her room. And then she comes back out with another stuffed animal, and she tells Alex, Daddy Rabbit wants a kiss. And then she goes back in her room, and she comes out. So she is demanding and saying, like, hey, my folks want some love. I want some love too. And a lot of people don't say that. They just walk around just filled with malice intent and just like all sorts of bad energy, and we all just need somebody to love.
That's so true.
So I love the song. You've worked with so many different women, everybody from Mavis Staples to Nora Jones, and just so many women. And I wonder what your experience is like, and what did it mean for you to be able to work with legends like Mavis Staples and her sisters, and just everybody?
Wow.
The McCreary sisters, and just everybody that you've been able to lock hands with in the sisterhood.
Wow.
Across generations too.
Well, it's huge. Even with the book, I worked with Marcella Avalar, who was the illustrator of it. Women couldn't publish a book under their own names. There was a period of time like this. And we have these two women, one who illustrated, one who wrote, and we're putting out this book, and it's happening. Or we have me singing alongside all of these legends and people that I love and admire. And I'll just say it's just been wonderful to have their support in what I'm doing. And I hope that I'm doing that for other women. And the way that I like to do that is just to be, like, if I can have someone open for me, or if I can have, like, whatever it is, just like open the door for the next woman. Like, if I'm the first at something, opening the door in the label or in the PR company or in whatever company I'm in, I'm the first Black woman showing up there and saying, hey, I'm not alone here. There's a bunch of other amazing talents that can be here too. Yeah. And so, like, I like head down, move forward, and just keep opening up these portals for other women to be, so that when Rain's born, similar to the way Emily Dickinson represented, so I could write a book, and other writers, Toni Morrison, Bell Hooks, they represented, like, the way that's happened. I want to be one who's, like, opening the doors, you know?
So latch on, sisters, because the sisterhood is out here thriving. Yay! Despite what we've been through. We don't look like what we've been through, and we are thriving off of joy. So I just always envision the sisterhood holding hands like this, and us collecting more people, because I collect people anyways. So I'm going to wrap up this interview, you guys. I hope that you've gathered something from the two of us in our sisterhood. We have the longest talks, and we'll be on the phone home for a couple of hours. And it's just nice to have that in you, and I always give people their flowers when they're here. And I am going to just tell you that I would not be the same without you. And I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you being fearless and going after your dreams, and you just showing us what it all looks like, and your heart constantly being open, and you just being somebody who is just so willing to even share the least bit of it. Like, you've always trusted me with that, and I just love it. Like, I'm grateful. So not a lot of people give their family members a chance to do things, and she has always been one that's like, come with me, let's go backstage, let's go to CBS, let's go to VH1, let's go to all these cool places together. So I'm thankful that you took me with you, and thank you for showing me what it looks like to forge your own path, because you're resilient and amazing and empowering and all the above. I am going to ask you one last question before we close this out, and that is, which of our family traditions has been your favorite and why?
Well, I think the favorite is just this family singing. I love that, and, I'm hoping we can get it going again at the holidays.
My favorite has been the fact that we always go to Opryland together.
Oh, that's so fun, too.
Yeah, and now we take rain. So it's just, having those family traditions, even if you can't do them every year, is still a tradition. So it's really cool to be able to experience that.
I love that.
So what's next for you? Tell us what we need to catch up on. If you guys want to go look for Valerie, she has a poetry book called Maps of the Modern World. She also has a children's book called Somebody to Love. She has numerous albums. So she is a genre blending, Grammy award winning artist that you must check out. She is a thought leader. She is a yogi. She is a sister, and she is a childless mom and all the things. And so I think you just
child-free plant mom.
Yes, child-free plant mom, but she has so much to share with all of us. So go follow her, the Valerie June. I coined that for her when I was 20 years old and just starting to work for her.
Oh my God.
I snatched up all of her handles, and here we are.
Oh my God.
15 years later.
Yeah.
So, I had somebody tell me that I didn't have enough social media experience for a position the other day, and I said, oh, okay. I've only been doing this since 2007. I'm like, it's been a long time, but never enough. But
when did they start social media?
More than enough. So, but anyways, thank you so much for coming on the show. Oh, I didn't give you a chance to let us know what's next for you.
Oh, next, very much tomorrow, I'm going to drop a pre-save so that people can start to pre-save my Christmas songs that are coming out soon. Ooh. So if this comes out at Thanksgiving, then you'll be listening to the new Christmas music.
Ooh, speaking of Thanksgiving, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for you, and I love you. Thank you for having me on this show. I was so excited. I curled my hair.
Well, you look beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a beautiful Thanksgiving. And go love on your family. We all need somebody to love. So spread the joy and just the resilience of life, you guys. Happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yay. The end.